Depends upon that.
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, this biosecurity law reform bill is the most substantive change in New Zealand biosecurity laws for more than 15 years. And I want to challenge the member who's just spoken opposite and beaten his chest around how important biosecurity is. Why is it that in the 3 terms and 9 years of a Labor government, we did not have any substantive law reform in the area of biosecurity? Let's just go through the track record of this government in biosecurity. In our very first year in government, National brought in laws that more than doubled the fines for those that breach our biosecurity laws. And this evening in the House, after a comprehensive review of our biosecurity laws, we have this very substantive bill that improves our laws. And for all the huff and the puff from Damien O'Connor, did you hear the words, "But we're going to support the bill"? Because he knows in his heart of hearts that this is good law that will help protect New Zealand's vital exporting industries. Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge the member on a few aspects of his speech. The first is, like every Labor spokesperson, they promise more spending. Doesn't matter whether it's education or health or an extra TV channel, or whether it's putting the school age down to 4 or more money for ACC. Every single one of Labor spokespeople's hopping around the country promising more money.
That's right.
And the simple question is, the challenge that faces every Western government is, where's the money coming from? And I have a very specific question of which Damien O'Connor needs to answer given that rave.
He doesn't know.
How much money per year will Labor extra commit to biosecurity? Oh, you wait and see. You wait and see. What sort of weasel words? What sort of weasel words? Now, I've got a copy here of Labor's biosecurity policy at the last election. You would have thought, after all the rhetoric from Mr. O'Connor, that they would have had some hard dollars on the table, that we feel so strongly this is the amount of extra money they're going to put in biosecurity. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? Not one specific dollar amount was committed by Mr. O'Connor in respect of biosecurity. Now, the member, Mr. O'Connor, has said that the fruit fly incident that occurred in Avondale shows our biosecurity systems aren't working. He's wrong. Exactly the opposite is true. Exactly the opposite is true. The fact that our monitoring systems picked it up, the way in which the systems respond, was something of which we should salute and be proud of, the response that occurred in the way in which that incident was dealt with. And then, in sort of another one of these Labor attempts to rewrite the law, rewrite the history. Rewrite the history. Let me go through. He said this is just like what occurred in the building and mining industry regulatory setting. Well, I'd love to quote, in terms of the building law reform, Mr. O'Connor, the words of George Hawkins, one of his colleagues. You know what George Hawkins said? He said, "How dare the National Party claim credit for the building liberalisation that occurred in 1991. He said, all of this is Labor's work. Well, actually, the record, Mr. O'Connor, for the record, the building law reform was introduced by the 4th Labor government. The bill was introduced by Margaret Austin, and actually it only had its 3rd reading after the change of government. And my question on mining, and Mr. O'Connor wants to highlight the mining, I've got a simple question for him. During his 9 years in government, from 1999 to 2008, if he was so wise about the deficiencies in the mining industry regulations, why did Labor do absolutely nothing for 9 years? Because you know what really is the issue with Mr. O'Connor? Mr. O'Connor will play petty politics over the 29 tragic dead miners on the West Coast. just in the same way as he will play petty politics with the issue of biosecurity rather than actually make sure this country's got the right systems and the right rules around protecting our vital industries. Mr. Speaker, I want to also talk about the issue of SmartGate, because it's interesting, Mr. O'Connor, that we've just had a review of SmartGate. That member repeatedly stood up in the House and said that SmartGate would increase the biosecurity risk for New Zealand. You know what the review shows? Actually, they are getting more and improving New Zealand's biosecurity. It is delivering better biosecurity results in the audit that has just been published 3 weeks ago, showing again the success of this government. The last point I want to challenge Mr. O'Connor and the Labour Party on is this playing politics, whether it be in terms of the capsicums, the pork, the honey and the tomato. We on this side of the House say that our biosecurity decisions need to be made on the basis of good risk management and science, and not politics. You see, Mr. Speaker, we've had an age-old argument, 90 years going, in respect of access for apples into Australia. We are a country that makes our living out of exporting biological products and markets overseas. And we cannot be double-standard and say in one breath, when the Australians come to make decisions about New Zealand apples and managing the risk of fire blight, that we want an independent science-based approach, and then when it comes to New Zealand on the other foot, and it comes to issues of pork or capsicums or honey or any other, that we're going to take a political and not a scientific-based approach. And I say to Mr. O'Connor, what he is effectively arguing is that the decisions about those biosecurity and standards should be made by political representatives rather than by scientists. And we on this side of the House, as a party that stands for trade, for earning this country's living from biological products, says that our biosecurity systems need to be first class, and our decisions about import standards need to be based on science and not politics. That's what this bill's about. This government's proud of the work that we're doing in biosecurity. It's part of what we're doing to build a better future for this country.
Honourable Shane Jones.
Tēnā koe, Mr.